So let's start with introductions. My name is Jan. I'm the founder and CEO of SmartGuide, and I have background in AI, studied AI a long time ago before it was cool, and also business. And then I spent 10 years with McKinsey helping companies to digitize. And of course, I am a very passionate traveler, visited about 70 countries.
Hello, everybody. My name is Romana Oleksova. At SmartGuide, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer. I also study marketing, and lately I've been devoting my time and effort a lot into AI and implementing AI also in SmartGuide. And I'm very passionate about the topic as well. So that's why we're very glad that we can share our insights and things that we already learned also with you, and demystify the topic a bit for you from the tourism sector and from destinations.
Before we get into AI itself, let us introduce a little bit how we got there, what we are doing. So, Rami, if you can go to the next slide, please. Very good. So we noticed that tourist destinations very often develop their own apps to guide their visitors, but they struggle with the development. It's expensive, takes lots of time, and then very often the end users, the travelers, did not use it because nobody wants to use a different app in every place they travel. And that's why we started SmartGuide as a platform. You can think of SmartGuide kind of as a YouTube for travel guides, so that anyone who has interesting stories to share can easily publish them in the content management system without any IT development, and with a few clicks can have a guide both in an application and also on a website. Then the guide turns your phone into a personal tour guide, now covering more than 1,200 destinations. So it's basically one app for all these places, and it will show you what are the places to visit, to recommend you tours to take, itineraries, how to explore destinations and attractions. And outdoors, it works based on GPS. When you arrive at some place, tells you interesting stories from local guides about the place that you are visiting, also in audio. So you don't have to read, you can just listen to that. You can watch videos, but also works indoors by scanning QR codes. And we can spice up the experience by showing, for example, augmented reality experiences. And the guide is available now in 30 different languages, so it's a great tool for international audiences. And as we guide the visitors, we get to know them very well. We know exactly where they came from which channels, what are their interests, and how they use the content, what content they consume, where they go, where they spend their time. And because we use GPS, of course, all of this is GDPR compliant, so aggregated, not on a personal level, but we can see how tourists from different demographics behave in the destination very accurately. And that's actually, we first had this crazy amount of data that enables smart destination management. And that's also what inspired us to put some AI behind it. And that's why we spent the last few months really deeply involved in AI. And that's something we would like to share. So you all know that AI is already transforming travel for quite a few years. Just when we look at the experience, when you book a flight ticket, the price of the ticket is set dynamically now for most of the airlines using AI. You then, if you need any support while buying the ticket, you already use chatbots to communicate about that. And when you check in, you go at the airport, you have facial recognition AI, and then even if you are not happy about the flight and you call the airline, they will usually use sentiment analysis AI to see how angry you are and if they should connect you to a live person or if it's okay to let you talk to a machine. So there is AI already in many aspects of traveling, but what we found out is that it's very difficult to grasp AI and what it can do for destination managers, because and it's not, of course, the fault of the destination. So unlike Booking.com, an average destination doesn't have an AI team readily available. So we wanted to show you a few practical examples of how to use AI. But the last thing, before we go there, I don't want to bore you with the different terminology of AI and the theory. But what is good to know when you come out of this workshop is that even though now everyone is talking about ChatGPT, not about the potential and also the pitfalls of ChatGPT. Not all of AI is the same as ChatGPT. There are many different types of AI. So ChatGPT is a generative AI large language model. It's built on deep learning neural networks. But there are completely different types of AI. So like, if you have a self-driving car, it works on a very different principle than ChatGPT. So we now talk about some principles and some problems of AI. Don't extrapolate it on all the other applications. But let's dive right into the interesting stuff, how you can use AI practically.
Yes, so we looked into several different applications that could be relevant for destination management, and first of them pertaining exactly to generative AI, as Jan mentioned, is content creation. Content creation about the destination, obviously. Nowadays, we can see that the destination obviously have a lot of content created about themselves. But very often it's quite like a lot of facts. It's a little as if a historian would create the content and not a guide. It's not really as engaging as maybe people and visitors might expect. And that's why if you send visitors, or if you direct them into the content on or the standard wiki style content available on your destination website, they might not find it as engaging. This is exactly where ChatGPT and similar models and generative AI steps in, because unlike some people might think that AI is or should be predominantly used for calculations or non-creative tasks per se, but it's actually quite the opposite. And generative AI is quite useful for creative tasks, such as creating engaging content. It's very efficient because unlike standard human copywriters who literally have to write everything from scratch, when using generative language models for creating destination content, you can create vast amounts of content pretty fast with models, not just like ChatGPT, but also, for example, Google Gemini, which is basically a direct competitor of ChatGPT. And there is a lot of benefits, obviously also pitfalls, but we'll cover both. In terms of benefits, beside the speed, very important thing is that if you create a content using ChatGPT, so far legally it's still your content in terms of copyright. So you can use this content, for example, on your website, in your communication on social media, etc. Another very important thing is that you can introduce many different styles of the narration. And what's one thing that we found out when we were testing and playing with the abilities of these models is that ChatGPT and similar models can be pretty funny, and they can create very engaging content, oftentimes a lot more engaging than the guide content that is currently available. One pitfall, and that is like a very important and critical thing to keep in mind when working with ChatGPT, is that it needs to be fact-checked. Every output out of ChatGPT needs to be fact-checked because it has a tendency to so-called hallucinations. And it literally, because the way it works, the way these models work, basically they predict every other word, the most probable word based on the vast amount of data these language models were trained on. The most probable word in terms of context is what it gives. So that's why it can create sometimes very creative and nicely sounding content, which is absolutely not true. So if you work with these tools such as ChatGPT, it's necessary to talk to them or communicate with these tools in certain language, in certain manner, and certain structure in order to get really quality outputs that are actually usable and that don't make more harm than good eventually. So in terms of tools for content generation, there are different types of tools, obviously, but we can generalize and divide them into three main groups based on the output. So first type is are the tools that provide text output. That is, for example, ChatGPT or Google Gemini. Basically, you input text, a command or a prompt, as it's called in the AI lingo, and it provides you an output in form of text. Another area of tools, another group of tools, is where you instruct it with a text and the output is visual, so an image, for example. And the third is the text output, which generates video output. So this is the newest and still not as spread area of content generation, but there are already very nice examples of these tools, such as, for example, OpenAI Sora, which created very, very lifelike videos, maybe short preview. All these videos are generated by AI. They are extremely lifelike. They are, on the first glance, they are very hard to distinguish from reality. They use different styles, they use animation, they use different perspectives. And as you can see down here, they are all generated based on certain prompts that were given in a text form. So how to communicate with these models, such as, for example, Sora or ChatGPT, in order to generate the content that you wish for. In case of tools, for example, such as Midjourney, which is a text-to-image generator, it's fairly, not to say simple, but it's more simple than communicating with ChatGPT, because Midjourney, as an image generator, has a quite narrow usage. So you can define type of visual you want, you can define the perspective, you can define the aspect ratio, you can define even for example, if you want a photography, you can define a type of device which it should imitate or emulate. And you will get an output which can be scaled, and the prompt is not as hard to craft. And you can get very, very lifelike results. This is an example of a picture generated by Midjourney. On the left side, you can see they're both old Times Square in Prague. On the left side, you can see AI-generated picture of Prague, and on the right side, it's the real photo of Prague. And you can notice that while the AI-generated picture is beautiful, it's really like still size. It has nice colors, it has nice detail, nice perspective. If you look closely, you will notice that it's not actually the old town square, or actually the astronomical clock looks quite different in reality as the AI generated it. It's pretty close, but it's not the same. This shows very, very clearly why it's important to fact check, because this is one of the biggest pitfalls of content creation in AI, that it's on a first glance, it can be very effective, it can be really stunning, but when we look into details, we can find a lot of falsehoods. That's why, for example, if you generate content for your destination, we advise not to create content of places that are well known, because while the pictures can be very pretty, they might not be factual. What we really do suggest is using these generation tools for example, brainstorming logos. If you want to create like a logo for a destination, you can use these tools to brainstorm ideas. If you want to create a poster, for example, for an event, it can create you the base visual. You can also change styles. For example, if you have a picture, by the way, the first picture is also generated by AI, and we iterated the style into Cubism, into Art Deco. So you can really use the content creation tool for playing and like very flexible use of the content, but we really advise against using it on real places, real destinations. Now, when it comes to the structure and how to communicate and craft the actual prompt that will get you to the good results. As I mentioned, with the tools like Midjourney, it's easier because you only need to define how the visual will look in the end. But ChatGPT is a lot more wide in terms of usage, so you need to follow certain structure and certain rules. And luckily, we can already, based on experience and observation and based on several research define several principles that are universal and that you can use to optimize your output and to fine-tune your output. So the syntax and the structure of the prompt itself is very decisive in terms of what output you get. And 5 basic principles, which I would like to highlight, which would really help you if you adopt them in content creation, is first, ChatGPT is like a really very well-trained student who just came out of studies, but is not experienced enough and needs instructions. That means the better instructions you define and give to the model, to ChatGPT, the better results it will give you. Really think of it as if it was an intern and they're full of information, but they know no processes. So this is how to treat the tool. Also, within ChatGPT, there is something like something called meta instructions. So you can define general instructions for the entire set of outputs that you use, which will be applied to all conversations with ChatGPT that you have. For example, if you want to maintain certain narrative style, or you want to omit certain words, or you want to, on the contrary, always mention certain phrases, you can define this across all conversations, and then it facilitates and speeds up the content creation very much, because you don't need to repeat the instructions all the time. One very important thing that we also found out empirically is that ChatGPT doesn't like negatives. It's always better to structure the prompt in a so let's say positive way. So instead of don't use negatives, if I wanted to instruct ChatGPT not to use negatives, it's better to say avoid using negatives. It's similar as in military language. ChatGPT tend to miss the don't or the negative not and only focus on the verb and do the exact opposite of what you ask it. One other thing that is also empirically learned, that it's very important to repeat key instructions. So for example, if you want to generate a text that is strictly 500 characters long, and this is like a key prerequisite for the output, it's recommended to repeat this. This is again something that you wouldn't do with a human. It sounds not really natural, but with ChatGPT, it's always good to repeat key instructions and then repeat key instructions. And if the prompt is too long, it's always or too complex, it's always recommended to break it down either to steps within one prompt, or sometimes even better to break it down into a series of prompts. Now, it's recommended that ChatGPT prompt has certain attributes and certain elements which will help you better define the output. You don't need to use all of them, and sometimes based on the context and based on the use case, you don't even need to, but it's recommended to really think of these 7 areas or these 7 attributes when you structure your prompt. So first of all, it's always necessary to define the task. So that is the key thing you want the model to do. In this case, I used as an example that a destination manager would like to create a Facebook post promoting an event, a wine festival, or basically an event in their city. That should have certain length, that should be in certain language, which is also interesting that you can use instructions in one language and output in the other. That is something very useful, especially for information centers. When you want to create a task, it's always good to define a persona of the or basically define an expert, which will help ChatGPT personify the task or personify the persona that you want to emulate and give you a better output. It's always good to provide context. So in this case, I want ChatGPT to design an engaging post to invite people to the annual wine festival. I want ChatGPT to become an experienced marketer and social media copywriter so that it knows based on its already learned knowledge base how to approach the task. I want to give it a context that the persona is focused on local events and promotion of local events, which further narrows down how ChatGPT understands how I want the output to look. Then it's always good to define the style or the form. So for example, in this case, we want the text to be original, targeted towards families and children. It's always good to provide an example. So for example, if you already wrote a similar Facebook post before, or if you saw a Facebook post that you think sounds good and you want to get inspired by it, you can use that as an example and ChatGPT will imitate that particular style. And it's always good to use defining instructions. So for example, if you want to avoid certain expressions, or if you want to use, for example, emojis or whatever detailed instructions you wanted to give, it's always good to mention it in the prompt. So if you apply all these attributes to your prompt, you will get a structure that looks something like this example prompt here. And then when you put it to ChatGPT, you will get an output that is very close to your original instructions. And this is very time saving and very efficient, especially if you do repetitive tasks, because it's obviously possible to scale generation of such content, and you can reuse these instructions in future content generation, and in the end you can keep a consistent style of your writing. You can even talk in foreign languages. So for example, if you want to create the same variant of the Facebook post in different languages, this is possible in ChatGPT. And there are also other ways to use ChatGPT, not just to generate content, but also to rewrite content. So for example, if you have an existing content which you want to rewrite, for example, for families or for children, this is something that is possible with ChatGPT. And it's very easy, for example, to take a factual text that is meant for adults and talk and task ChatGPT to rewrite it as a fairy tale for children. So you will reuse the existing content, but you will be able to target a lot of different audiences and a lot of different segments in different style and in different languages, which will very much change the way how you can address different groups of visitors and different segments. And in SmartGuide, we already played with it extensively, and we created a copywriter, AI copywriter based on ChatGPT-4. If you scan these QR codes, you will be able to see it yourself in the app. One is even like a funny guide, and we were quite surprised how humorous ChatGPT actually can be.
So hello to friends from Bled who are on the call, and also to Salzburgerland that I also see on the call. So another example can be to expand some descriptions when you have maybe just one sentence or sentences description of a place, like in this example. We can use the model to write it up into a longer description that is nice to read. So the second topic is using AI for translations, which is a very obvious use case. So I don't know now if you were able to follow my Mandarin. If not, it's okay. You cannot speak all the languages. Nobody can. Actually, AI can, and that's exactly the advantage. So if we go further, so we can use machine translations of text that if you try to Google Translate 5 years ago and you use DeepL now, it improved so much that now we are reaching levels depending on the source language and the target language, but the accuracy is actually very, very high. And even if you use the AI translation and then just sanity check it with a human, you can save about 70% of the costs that would normally cost to do a human translation. So that of course allows you to save costs or prepare your content for your visitors in many more languages. Now, tourist destinations that we talk to very often, they came from the world of physical printed materials, printed guides, brochures, leaflets, and nobody wants to have 95% correct translation in a print, in a book that you print. That's not okay, and your visitors will not be happy about that. But online world is different. So you can see examples in, for example, Booking.com that uses AI translations in the reviews, or Google Places, and travelers are used to that. We also ask them about that. And the important thing is, when they have to prioritize, do they get the content 95% correctly translated in their language, or do they have to view it in a language where they are not so proficient? Almost all of them say, yes, I'm okay with a 95% correct translation, but I want to know that it's an AI translation. So you can use AI translations in digital forms, but inform your customers or your visitors that it's an AI translation. And that's exactly what we do as well in SmartGuide, where we now offer translations in 30 languages. It's also built into the content management system. So if you have your content on SmartGuide, you can just, you have content like in Czech language here, for example, you can just click on Add Translation, and you choose the language, and it will automatically use DeepL to translate the content into English. So it's really easy, really fast. And then, yes, you can, of course, fine-tune the translation to make it even better, but saves tons of time. We can also now automatically translate your guide into 30 languages. So it's basically a click of a button, which can be very effective, of course, to expand the audiences so that you can reach, you have usually 4 or 5 main target markets, but like this, you can reach also, other 25 that cumulatively can be quite big, quite important. What is good is that you will see the analytics of the actual usage. So you can translate your destination guide into certain languages, and then you will see how many people actually use it on Polish or Korean or other languages. And based on the actual usage, you can then decide where you invest in some, making the translation fact check it by human, basically. So you can use your translation budgets very effectively. And of course, it has benefits for SEO. If you publish more content on the website in different languages, the tourists from speaking other languages will be able to find you. Finally, a small trick that I noticed that some tourist information centers use, but definitely not everyone. There are tools ready for translation in the real time when somebody actually comes into the tourist information center, doesn't speak your language. Then you can just have all the information center staff have Google Translate, a free application on their phone, where they just press the button, let the tourists in different language speak to this, and it will understand what they say, translate it into your language, and you can just press the button, listen to that, or you read it, and then you reply in your language, and it will translate it back to their language. So a very easy way how you can. It should be basically, I think, installed on most of the phones of the staff of the tourist information centers.
Now, when it comes to tourist information centers and the visitor center stuff, AI chatbots actually have also another usage. They can be used not obviously to replace, but to work with the human staff at the tourist information centers. Mainly because it's not possible to keep all the time the tourist information center open all the time, but it is possible to have an AI chatbot available 24/7 that will be able to answer relevant in a relevant way questions that tourists might have, because on one hand, you can send tourists to websites, but they rarely really read all the information there. They are not as engaged, and they tend to finally not get the information that you actually want them to get. But if they have an interactive way of getting the information, such as a chatbot, you can provide them with information even when the info center is closed. And the AI chatbots, there are basically a lot of tools on the market that are readily available that allow creation of efficient route planning chatbots that allow, for example, 24/7 visitor assistance, because it's trained on important information that you want to give to visitors. And it saves a lot of time by answering the repetitive queries, because tourists do tend to ask very similar questions all the time. And one big advantage of these tools is that they are really easily trainable using your existing content. So existing knowledge base, albeit in version of websites, or if you have it in documents such as PDFs, everything that you have in a written form can be used to train such chatbot. And to demonstrate just how easy it is, I would like to show you how to build literally in a few minutes from scratch a chatbot in a tool that's called Dante AI. We will later share a link with you where you can play with it yourself. This is how the interface looks right after you log in. The login is free. You can use your Gmail account to do it very quickly. And when you create a chatbot, the only thing you need to do is to name it. I will name my chatbot like very rudimentary my chatbot. And here I can choose whether I want to use existing files or whether I want to use URLs. To save time, I will use URLs. So, for example, if I want to build a chatbot for Carlsbad, town in Czech Republic, and use their website, I can just go I prepared a list of like the most popular sources from Google. Yeah, so I use the website of the city. I use Wikipedia sources. Note that I use different languages of sources. It doesn't matter. You can mix German, English, Czech, Polish, Spanish. It will understand all the languages because it can translate it. So you will then be able to not only ask the chatbot in your language, but also task it to answer you in a certain language. So as you can see, I can just very easily copy and paste URLs and create a chatbot. It will learn and train on the files I provided it. You can see that it's literally seconds. It's very fast. It's extracting all the information from all the sources that I provided, and within minutes you are basically ready to go and implement this chatbot into your website. Now, when I ask it, for example, recommend an itinerary in Karlovy Vary for a family with children, there it goes. Yeah, and this is really something that you can do yourself. You can use the link that's provided here. We'll obviously share the presentation, so we'll share also the link, and you can use it to create your own chatbot. And then when you have your chatbot ready, which is literally as easy as I just demonstrated, you can just copy the script of the chatbot and paste it either onto your website or onto any online location where you want the chatbot to operate. With the paid versions of Dante, you can obviously customize the functionality, customize the design. You can add your own logos, your own colors. You can use also more, because as you saw, this result was on ChatGPT 3.5, which is less smart. With the paid version, you can use even the smarter ChatGPT 4. But already with this version, this is very useful tool to implement to destination, to tourist information centers and destinations.
Another great use case of AI in destination management is for personalized recommendations. Why personalized recommendations matter? I mean, we are luckily out of COVID, which is great news for tourism. The bad news is that in many places the overcrowding comes back in. You know, when you look at Venice, it's sometimes look like this. You cannot even pass through the streets. Yet, at the same time, there are still many places, even in Venice, you know, like this authentic gondola repair workshop that is just literally a few steps away from the main channels. And it's a very interesting place to visit to get a real sense of Venice. But not so many tourists go there. They all stick to the same places, to the top 10. You know, everyone will Google what's the top 10 places to see in Venice. And that's where the personalized recommendations will step in. So if you can tailor the recommendations similar to what Netflix or Spotify does, you know, Netflix also shows different recommendations for movies to watch and Spotify for different music to listen to based on what's interesting you, because everyone has a little bit different taste. So why don't we take exactly the same to travel guides, because then we can spread the crowds and make also the experience for everyone more interesting because it's more relevant. Now, here we can also speak from our experience, because we built an AI ourselves to do exactly that. And this is when I mentioned there are different types of AI. So this has nothing to do with ChatGPT. We used the more traditional machine learning algorithms to train our own AI to recognize based on 20 million places of interest when it reads content. So you will write any content, it will go through that and find out, like, this traffic light semaphore in London is about sightseeing, art, and sculpture. Then we see exactly how the traveler interacts with the content. We know whether they visited the place, we know whether they read the content, they finished listening to the audio, or they even liked it, bookmarked it. And based on that, we built their personal interest profile. And this has different weights of different interests for each person. And now when we know what the person is interested in, and we did go through all the content you have available for travelers, we do exactly the same that Spotify do with music. And we give personalized recommendation, not to like a segment, but every single traveler based that, you know, what maximizes their profile. So then in each destination, we would still show the top places to visit. But besides the top places, because everyone wants to know the top places, we also show a carousel of recommended places which are never in the top. We always focus on places out of the beaten path. And this really can help to distribute the crowds more evenly across the city and avoid the congestion. I actually tried it now myself on my profile just to show a specific example. So, you know, I very often travel with kids and we prefer nature over cities. So I got my interest profile, you know, it corresponds. I have some like memorials and battlefields there because that's what, you know, we are also quite interested in, like World War II topic now with the kids. I can see, for example, in Pilsen, I visited the zoo. It will know that I was there, so it's actually ticked off. And now when I go to some other destinations, it will, you see that, yes, I get a top places, but then in my personal recommendations, I very often, if there is a zoo or a park, you know, with playground for kids, I get these places recommended as well. So what this can do is that, you know, I get inspired to visit the destination, because normally maybe you know, Brno would not promote the zoo. It's not one of the top attractions, but for me it's relevant, and I did not know that there was an interesting zoo there. So this, you know, I will go there with my kids and spend an extra half day at least in the destination. So this is can help to extend the length of stay of the travelers and spread them to promote the less visited spots. And the final example, kind of the holy grail of AI in destination management, is itinerary planning. So an itinerary planner is basically a companion that can prepare, you know, tourists will share their preferences, where they go, what they like, what they want to see, how much time they have available. It will also take into account the conditions, you know, is it summer, winter, what's the weather forecast, and so on, and prepare a plan for visiting the destination special for them. Now, we talked about ChatGPT, and last year, I mean, it was the first year of ChatGPT, so 6% of travelers already used ChatGPT last year to plan their travels. And of course, now with the growing popularity of chatbots, this percentage is increasing. And it's very easy, right? You probably tried it yourself. If not, I hope you will do after this workshop. And so you ask GPT what you know, you can do in your destination. And you get a result, and the result is well written. The top places make sense, but there are a few problems with this. One problem is that very often the ChatGPT is making up the content, so that's the problem of hallucination, because it's you know, it can write complete nonsense about the places in your destination. Second problem is that even if you write the same prompt 3 times, you will always get a little bit different answer. It's written in a different way. It will essentially recommend the same places over and over. So it looks different, but it's the same stuff. And so again, you don't really help the overcrowding problem. And the third problem is like you get a text output, and it's a bigger problem for the traveler. But now, how do you use it, right? Like now do I get this output on my phone? Do I copy paste the text, save it somewhere in some notepad, and then look up the places on Google, and then it's quite hard to use. So what we are working actually on right now, we don't have it yet, but if some of you are interested in the topic, we would be very happy to involve you in some pilots. So we are now integrating ChatGPT directly inside SmartGuide so that we get a very natural interface interacting with the traveler that the chatbot can do. But then we already link the results of what chatbot is recommending. We link it to your official content. So it will not be making up stuff about the places, it's your content. And furthermore, we know the tourist very well, as we showed in the personalized recommendation. So when we send the prompt to the ChatGPT that the user is writing the prompt, we will attach to the prompt, FYI, this traveler is interested in, natural sites and traveling with children, for example, or something else. So we provide already the background information on the traveler to ChatGPT so that we can get different results for every traveler using ChatGPT. And finally, we make it more actionable so that we turn these recommendations into a smart guide so that we add the existing photographs of the places and the GPS coordinates and websites where you can buy the ticket and so on, because we already have all of this information, so we can include it and it's very easy to use for the traveler. So if this sounds interesting, we believe that this is the future. So now we are actually working on this future and very happy to get in touch.
Yes, so as you can see, based on these 5 examples and 5 use cases, there is already a lot of ways how to implement AI. And there is a lot of existing tools which can be just taken and implemented. So there is no need to reinvent the wheel. And it can help tourism boards with operation efficiency, improving customer satisfaction, and making tourism more sustainable by recommending less visited places and spreading tourists from the overcrowded hotspots. And many of these approaches are already mature in other industries, not only in tourism, and tourism only starts adopting them. So luckily, there is a lot of ready-made solutions that can be just plugged in. And in connection with this, we would like to ask you and run a poll about your experience with AI tools and your destination. So I will now run a quick poll here within the Google Meet. And now you should be able to see the poll. And you can vote. So I will give another 10 seconds, maybe, so that you can express your experience. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I will now end the poll. So yes, so it looks like some of you already have experience. And now I would like to run another poll. If you do plan to use AI tools in your destination, also based on the new information that you maybe got. Okay. So I'll leave 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you. I'm ending the poll. Okay, so the majority of the participants do plan to use AI tools. That is nice to hear.
What is interesting is there is actually no one who who said no, that they would not be using that. So I think that shows the direction.
Okay. So now yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we just wanted to thank you a lot for taking the time, and we were glad that we could share some of the insights that we gathered, playing with AI and actually using it over the last couple of months and years. And we would definitely be happy to stay in touch. We will. This is a field that is evolving really quickly. If we did the presentation a year ago, it would have looked very different than when we did it now. And I believe we will move even in the next year long way. So if this is a topic that interests you, if you want to bounce ideas, if you want to implement AI in your destination management, please get connected, and we'll be happy to chat.